Good morning, Squadron. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Today, we got a great show for you today, focusing on the vaccine stocks. Names like everybody in the news for Moderna, Pfizer, BioNTech, AstraZeneca, and then a couple of derivative plays from that to be able to capture on all of the money that's going to flow into the medical space based on the massive deployments of the vaccine. You heard it's going into the UK as of last night. They got the first contract for it. Several 100,000 doses inbound right now, and then millions to follow. The U.S. won't be far behind that. So pretty big move in the medical space to take a look at. If you want to catch us, that's what we've got for today. If you are checking us out on replay, go ahead and subscribe to make sure you get these notifications daily. If you want to join us live, it's only $25 a month. We have a Q&A window and a chat window that you do not see here. That's how we communicate with each other, so I can answer everybody's questions. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everybody, for today, December 2nd, Wednesday. All right, make sure you have your Q&A window pulled up and your chat window pulled up as well and set up appropriately. Standard disclaimer applies, but it's a financial education presentation this morning, so you have to do your own due diligence for act on anything that you hear me talk about today. All right, our mission objectives for today are capital appreciation, so capital preservation and income generation. Today, we're going to focus on basically capital appreciation by taking a look at the vaccine stocks out there. Some of these I've moved into, some of these I've taken a pass on. Some of them are long-term holds, if you will, but I will talk about the specific challenges of the medical market as well once I get to that. Yesterday, for question of the day, we're going to talk about the Coverdell ESA today. Yesterday, we talked about the 529 plan. Today, we're going to talk specifically about how the Coverdell can be better in some ways, but worse in other ways. So we'll go over that towards the end. Our flow will be long, short, open, short, long, meaning we're going to take a look at the market review, take a look at our own futures. We'll go around the world, and then we'll come back and look at the headline stories that are making the news here in the U.S. For the long-term investments, for our vaccine theme, then we're going to look at Moderna, Pfizer, BioNTech, Medtronic, Teladoc, and then DOC, which is a real estate investment trust. So kind of all over the map in the medical space. I'll give you my opinion on these as far as whether you should be in them or not. We'll execute the open. We had a big day, 3-hour trade Monday, minus 1 hour yesterday, and then we will take a trade today. Quite a few, the futures are in the red, and quite a few things are significantly in the red, including Palantir. Wow, down 13%. That story, I did some trimming, but man, it is bottom's falling back out of it. So probably not going to trim anymore here. Just going to hold what we got. All right, we'll execute the market open and get into the Q&A. If you have any contingencies, reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at where we are in the market. Again, I always throw this up there for the new folks in the room to keep a kind of a big picture on where we are. Well, here we are bouncing off all-time highs off of yesterday. Tech, at least Apple, was up 3% yesterday. So pretty significant move up there for everybody. So if you would, one interesting thought process, if you would, on January 1st, where we were of 2020, and, you hear that where we are now, this is before any real talk about the pandemic, would you have been happy this year? Yeah, you would have been very happy, if you drew a straight line between those 2 points. But of course, it was not a straight line. And depending on how you handled a big sell-off, you may be up a lot, or you may be down if you sold off at the bottom of the during the sell-off, and struggled to get back in or waited till we got everything back. So kind of all over the map, depending on how you handled it. That's why it's important to pay attention every day. Just due to reversion to the mean, though, we could sell off another 3 to 5% and still be in a massive uptrend. So a lot of optimism coming out of the election. We do have potentially, vaccines being deployed. That's good news. Potential stimulus, maybe we'll see coming out. So just don't forget, we could move down from here for no reason other than the fact that we've moved up so quickly. And again, that's called revision to the mean. All right, for this, that's Palantir. We don't need to look at that ugly beast right now. But here's where we are. This was yesterday in the market, and then pretty much a steady sell-off in the future. So your trend going into this morning is over, even a little bit uptick there at the end. Overall, pretty much down. So that's why that's how we'll take a look at things when we get into the trading portion of the show. All right, let's go to CNBC.com here. So sharing out this page, and then let's go back to where we are here. We'll refresh and we'll take a look around the world. Okay. All right. See some of the names we're talking about in the pre-market moves there. Pfizer, we'll get to that in a minute. All right. Here's where we are with futures. Overall, a little bit in the red. Not anything really of note, to be honest. Europe is split across the board today. Let's see. Asia closed pretty small moves. When you look at the normal moves, been almost 1% across the board. So pretty small move there. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Nice big green move up. Bond market overall kind of stabilizing a little bit, if you will. 0.94%. Be nice to get the 10-year above 1. But we'll see. It's been a steady increase since the election, basically. So there's oil. Let's go over that. Oil basically unchanged. Gold, silver had a huge move up yesterday and then kind of sold off. Gold up just a little bit, and over into Bitcoin, 19.1 now, so up another couple percent after the big sell-off. So more to follow. Yeah, there we go. I like your comment there, Predator. Thinking red less than 1%, no big deal. I agree, and that's why we show that big chart every day to kind of keep things in perspective, and it keeps people from being greedy too. That is for sure, because people tend towards greed. Like Palantir is a good, Palantir doubled and then it tripled, and then I trimmed some, and people are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm saying, "Well, I'm taking some profits. Now we're back to a double on it." So when things move, you always want to keep the bigger picture in mind. Okay, let's take a look at the headlines that we have here. All right, rollout due next week. Yes, we talked about that. Nursing homes have not really been, that was what everybody thought at the beginning, that nursing homes would be wiped out. That hasn't necessarily happened. Again, people taking appropriate precautions, right? They know they're high risk, so they're mitigating that with the appropriate behavior. Yep, vaccines, healthcare workers, nursing homes, that all makes sense. There's another test that's getting emergency use authorization. So I think one of two things will come out of this. We're either going to see that we really did not need to have like 5 to 10 years for a vaccine to come to life, or we're going to release this stuff out really quick before it's fully vetted and run into some problems. Hopefully, of course, that doesn't happen, and I really don't think it will. But if it does, then the FDA will be validated from. You can't just emergency authorize everything, so it's not risk-free. I was reading this morning that it's 2 shots that are coming out and they're 3 weeks apart, which is interesting, right? So you don't just take it on Monday and you're good on Tuesday. You take the first one, which is supposedly not too bad. Then 3 weeks later, you take another one, which is going to put you out of commission for a day. So that's your vaccine. So even if you deploy it today, the second shots are, basically coming out by the end of the year. So this thing is going to be a slow rollout. So we shall see. Okay. Mortgage demand up. Yep. House prices going up. We all know that. This is what everybody's worried about, was Biden raising the corporate tax back up to normal tax rates. Don't think it'll happen with a split government. So that's why the market celebrated. Salesforce down on the deal. Palantir is down on a deal. Neo's down. Big. Some of the favorite names out there are down. Haven't seen this one before. A more affordable MacBook Air. I operate on one of those. I'm happy to pay full price because it's that good. But I know that's out of a lot of people's price range. So it's good that that in one of the iPhone 12s is at a lower price point, and they're starting to target more of the masses instead of just maybe the upper middle class, if you will. Okay. All right. That's about it for the headlines. Let's go ahead and talk about our stocks. We'll talk Moderna, actually. So here's kind of your theory with the healthcare stocks. Obviously, they're going to get a lot of attention in the short term. So that's what you've seen. Back in March, which is back over here now, I was trading pharmaceuticals. If you were in, we didn't have the room open then, but that's what I was doing almost every morning. It was almost a pharma only sort of deal, because those are the things that were that were in play, and that's what we need to capture our particular strategy. So a lot of money flowing into this. Now, will the money stay? Maybe for a year. This is kind of more of a trade in my mind than a long term when you get into these drug makers, which is kind of an issue. So you see the move up here. If you're buying in, went up to touched 180. It's down at 141 right now. This is not really the time to buy. I did some buying back in here, but not for everybody. Generally, if you reached out to me and wanted these names in your book, I put them in. But for the most part, for the masses, I'm not in them. A lot of volume. We'll see where it goes from here. You really can't rationalize the share price up here unless it's, pulling a Tesla, where rationalization doesn't matter. So so don't really recommend Moderna up here. Let's go ahead and take a look over to the other names that I have for you. This is the Schwab Street Smart Edge. Moderna here is in the upper left. You can see the big move up there. This is Pfizer. This is a lot more steady name, and a lot of love lately. If you were going to hold one of these names, this is a better long-term play. Pfizer's been around forever. They're not a specialty drug maker by any means. So that's more of your better long-term hold. And you see that it really hadn't gone anywhere. So you have more upside than you do with a Moderna. BioNTech, again, partnered with Pfizer, European firm, pretty well straight up. I wouldn't buy it here either. So out of those three, Pfizer would be my choice. Medtronic is always an interesting play with the increased emphasis on healthcare. Do you think that's going to continue past COVID-19? I think it will. I think we will be doing a lot of preparation for the next unknown sort of thing. If you look at the 9/11 model of, we got attacked by airplanes, and then all the protocols we put in place after 9/11, it was there to stop the same thing from happening. Well, terrorists are kind of, I can't say they're necessarily smart, but unique in their methods, right? So the last thing that's likely going to happen in the U.S. is another 9/11. So I think we'll see the same thing. Is people won't be as we will be overly concerned with stopping the next pandemic, which means a bunch of money will flow into Medtronic and Teladoc, which again is telehealth. So these are the next two that talk about. So they've kind of run up. I think a lot of money will flow into this, but eventually that will wear off. And the last one is Doc, which is Physician Realty, which are the little small, they own the real estate for your doctors to go out there and have their practices. So if you're a doctor and you want to go into practice, you probably have student debt already, that you're battling. Last thing you need to try to do is come up with, $300,000 or $400,000 for a piece of real estate, right? So you rent that, you pay that price, those rents go into DOC, and that's how you can capitalize on the real estate part of that. It is more of a dividend stock. So Predator's asking in the chat, about why hasn't Pfizer come up? Pfizer's your mass copycatter, right? So generally, Pfizer, they wait for somebody else like a Regeneron or a Biogen to create the stock or create the drug, and then Pfizer does the copycat and then mass produces the generic. So that's generally the play there. And in that particular space, you don't have the margins that the Regenerons and the big biopharmas have. So they're more of a mass, like an Amazon, sells lots of things at a very fractional margin. So that's why I think it's held back. But you're right. it is considered maybe an older person type buy and hold type stock versus the others will have a lot of more trading going into them. So good point there. All right, let's go ahead and switch our thoughts over to the day trading. We have 5 minutes to the open. So here's your Moderna chart. It is selling off today. So 4% down off of the volume here. So not something we're really going to trade, but I think you're right. The next move is down. We have Lee Automotive that is selling off. Intends to offer and sell some more ADRs underway. So it's gapping down there. So that's on our list of things to take a look at. XPEV, again, we were in that yesterday long. It turned and flipped short significantly. So not going to go right back in that today. Let's look at some other things that are selling off short. Carvana, let's see what the story is here. No story with Carvana, but I do like the chart. Wish it had a story to go with it. We'll keep an eye on that. Salesforce, obviously, it's the merger with Slack. The concern is that they overpaid. I think that's too strong of a name to hop in short, so I'm not going to. Tesla, basically, Elon Musk is saying again that the stock price is overpriced, that it's going to crash if we're not saving our pennies. If you saw that email, it's kind of funny, kind of brilliant, kind of funny. But yeah, when you look at this chart, the next move's down. I mean, it's just too hard for it to go higher. I'm not going to short it, but you could. I've been there, done that. So out of this, I like Carvana the best, but we shall see. Palantir is also selling off hard. See if there's a headline with that. I don't think there is. It's just coming back down, reverting to the mean, if you will. So looking at really Carvana is our best short there. On the long side, BNTX long meets our parameters, plenty of volume. That's it off of that chart. Net app almost to see what's going on here. I'm not pulling the headline out of that, so we'll keep looking. Fubo TV, stocks on the move, steps into online sports wagering. All right, we definitely are going to, excuse me, take a look at this. Fubo up 6%. Plenty of volume, 26 to 28.40 with more room to run. So that'll be our number one long is Fubo. Our number one short will be Carvana. We'll pick another long here. ACB in play, not quite as much. Okay, we'll just have the two since we're 30 seconds out. So switching over to the Think Pipes, again, SPY on the left, we're going to look Fubo long. And then we are going to look Carvana short. And then I'll put PLTR in here. We'll watch it. All right, welcome to the on time on target play of the day. We are about at the market open, 10 seconds to go. You have 4 charts in front of you. Make sure I have the right thing shared out. Yep. We have Fubo on the left, that is Fubo TV long. Then we have 2 shorts, Carvana and Palantir off to the right. Just really watching, there's the opening bell, really watching Palantir, not really going to take it long, but certainly looking at Fubo and Carvana as far as our entries. So an entry point here on Fubo TV is going to be about a 25-cent stop. So I kind of like where it is right now. We need a little more volume to rush in, and then we're going to take this long. We'll be helped by the market if the market flips back long. It's already a little bit in the red. All right, as far as Carvana, no real headline here, so we need to kind of keep an eye on it. It's a higher price point, so you're going to have a $2 stop if you hop into Carvana. And then Palantir, we're just kind of watching right now until something else. Let's look long on BNTX right now, see how it's going. Up 5%. Looks like its first move is down there. So we'll go back to the short side. Tesla shorts, again, not going to do that. Just watching the action there. And then Lee Automotive was down big earlier, 8% or so. All right, so switching back to Fubo Long, that's the one I like the best out there right now. Back out here a little bit. Pretty good entry point down here at 27.7. So if it holds this, we want to set our stop down here at 27.65. So 27.85 will be the entry point north. Get 27.90. Again, this is long, so get your tickers set up. We're going to use a 25-cent stop, so 27.90. If it flips back north, if it keeps selling off and it breaks the low of the day, then we're not going to take it. We see the market going down here. So, yep, okay, we're not going to take this. It busted the low of the day. So, all right, let's look at some other short names. We'll get rid of this one. Lee was the name we were looking at short. We already got Lee over here to the right side, and we'll look at PLTR. Wow, quite the move down there, down 16% in Palantir. So really selling off hard. Carvana is not really moving. I'm going to go to a different screen real quick now that the market's open and scan a little bit more. Salesforce. We can take a look at Salesforce. I can't imagine shorting into Salesforce, but we'll at least take a look at the chart. Yeah, pretty big move down. This is not going to last though. So I would not trade CRM, Palantir, either of those names. They're just too strong. All right, market straight down the first 4 minutes. Overall, how are we doing? The Dow down 0.75 of a point. NASDAQ down 0.8. All right, let's see what else is in play off another screen here. Where cannabis long is interesting. Let's take a look at that. ACB. Again, pot stocks are interesting. So you have 985 up to, that's a 60-cent move. That was kind of the move there. Let's look at Tilray's, another name that's in play in the stock area in the marijuana world. Kind of missed the move on that one too. So I really don't see any of these setting up like we want them to. And I don't trust the market either going back long or short today. So not going to trade today, nothing to set up appropriately. So I'm going to take a pass on that. Let's take a look at some of the bigger names out there. Apple down a little bit. Let's see. Check out Luckin Coffee. It's been selling off pretty bad, down to almost $4 again. So not a real healthy path there for Luckin, unfortunately. And then we'll pull up Palantir, since that's what everybody's been worried about. Down 15%. I don't think this is a tradable bottom. You would have to take it back long here with basically a 80-cent stop. I don't feel confident enough to take that. So, but I'm not worried about Palantir long term. If you hold it, just look at the ugly red number for today. We're not selling out of it. All right, let's look at around the world and see what we've got. Canopy growth up 5%. There's Pfizer. We talked about BioNTech. Those are up. That makes sense. People are buying those right now. We're only, a handful of names in the green there, so not much going on. Most of your plays down to the red side. Workhorse down 25%. So what's going on in Workhorse is they delayed. So we moved into Workhorse way back when. It's a EV truck maker with hydrogen options as well. They focus on the final mile of delivery. They are waiting on a U.S. Postal Service contract. Well, the problem with that is that they just delayed the contract again. So that's why the stock is selling off. Again, we're holding it to see if they get the contract or not. So if you're in this name, you just simply hold through a news cycle like this. If they do get the contract, the name's going to do the same thing to the upside. So not too worried about Workhorse. Palantir, 14%. We talked about LCA. That's another game, the name that's been on fire. They're supposed to have been by now switched their ticker to Golden Nugget Online Gaming. So there must be an issue with that. Salesforce is selling off on the merger with Slack. Clickstream is pretty much going to zero. So we can look at getting out of that if you're still in it. Tesla down big off of Elon Musk's tweet. Moderna moving big to the downside. That's just reversion to the mean. Luckin down towards $4. So we'd like to see it hold $4. I don't really want to see it go below that. Q-Clean, this was one of the names we talked about yesterday, off 5%. Again, they have a large EV presence. So Tesla's in there, Lee, XPEV, all of those are in that particular Q-Clean. So that's going to move too. So it's moving to the downside today. DraftKings selling off, ASON selling off. So a lot of moves to the downside and trending down. So we shall see how the day rolls out. Okay, let's go over to the question of the day. So here's what you're looking at is the Coverdell ESA. Again, we talked about yesterday. There's really a couple ways to save for college. The 529 is right for most people. Okay, so that is like option A and option B. Option C is this Coverdell ESA thing, which really only works in a couple of cases. If you are anti-index fund anything, then you want to go to the Coverdell because it allows you to get into individual stocks. You can, you can't go short in an ESA, but you can go long, and you can also, if you're an options trader, that's like that's like the next level, the PhD level of trading, is you can use options to go short. So if you are smart enough to do that and want to take the time to do that, then you can really blow up the account. So when you think about from college savings, you put in a couple $100 a month, and starting at birth, that's going to grow up through the 529 plan to generally be, $60,000 or so by the time they're 18. If you start later in life, then you have to add more or put seed money in and then let that work for you. So, but if you're a trader and you're good at what you do, you can hop in a Coverdell and you can really explode this account. You can only put in $2,000 per year per beneficiary. So, $2,000 per child that you're funding. So that's the downside. So when you look at pure funding, your own money that you can put in, you can only put in $36,000 if you're using the birth age 18 kind of time frame. So that's not going to cover much college. And even if you double it, 36 plus doubling it 72, that'll probably get you done. But if you're looking at getting more money than you want to start in, or if you're starting late, then you want to go with the 529. So here's how a Coverdell ESA savings account works. Again, same rules for the most part, not quite as flexible as the 529, but K through 12, if you have private schools, you can use your funding out of your ESA, but generally that's kind of self-defeating, right? Because you can only put 2,000 in, so you don't really want to start taking that back out when they're to pay for kindergarten, right? You want it to be able to go in and make the big money for you. Must be used by the time a student is age 30, or so you have a back end issue. You can also take this Coverdell money and convert it to a 529. So you don't really have to sweat this age 30 thing, but you do have to get rid of it by the time later on. So it doesn't stick around forever. Unlike 529s, where you simply just swap around the beneficiaries and then you can hold the thing forever. So here's kind of your overview. Again, I would say in terms of popularity, I bet it's 99% 529s out there. So when legislation comes through, a lot of times it doesn't include the Coverdell, and that's what you saw out of the Secure Act. So 529s were, a lot of legislation on the 529, but the Coverdell was kind of left out. So, so consider, if you will. I like it because of the individual stock level, but then again, my kids are in 529s because they're already both almost in high school. So So I never really dorked with it way back in the day. I just did the kind of the regular path. So that's true. There's other ways out there, right? There's scholarships, there's military academies, there's join the military, have the GI Bill. Um, so you bring up a good point there, Predator, in the chat. So if you get a scholarship, I don't know about a GI Bill that you could pull the money back out. That's a question I don't know. So let me make a note for myself. But yeah, if you don't use these education funds for education, then you're going to take a 10% penalty. In addition to that, you are going to have to pay taxes on the gains. So obviously you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So if you can leave it in there and let it grow, and then yeah, you can flip it. Well, with the Coverdell, it's an issue. Some of the portability is a little bit different. 529s are easy. You just switch the beneficiaries to grandkids and keep it in there. Do what's called a Dynasty 529, which is a topic for another day. But you can basically maximize these things and get a ton of money to the tune of millions inside of these 529 plans. And in that case, you basically created free healthcare for you and your family for multi-generations. Not free healthcare, free education. Misspoke there. So good stuff. All right. That is all I have for today. Checking back to the markets. The markets have bounced a little bit, not quite as down as we were earlier. So sorry I didn't get a trade for you today. I just didn't like anything and didn't want to throw a dart because that's not what we do here. But with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back tomorrow.